Hey guys, so this video is a follow-up video to the original Night Vendor video, and there was an important question posed in the original video, and that was, what is a good price for items found at the Night Vendor? So if we look at the Night Vendor, here's a great example right off the bat. So most items in the Night Vendor, there are three main categories of items. You've got your standard, most of the Night Vendor items that you get will be these items, which are black stones. Always worth it to buy. They sell for much cheaper than you buy them normally, especially sharps and hards. Then you have boss gear. Boss gear I'm going to come back to, but that's your main goal. The third is blue items and boss accessories. Now, depending on the price, usually it's worth it to buy these, as you can make a pretty decent profit. Now, the easiest way to know if you should buy it or not is check the current price of the item. So we'll put it on hold, and we'll check the current price of crescent rings. So go to accessories, rings, Ring of Crescent Guardian. The cheapest are at about 49 million silver. Because of the fact that with a value pack, the price of item that you sell in the marketplace, you lose 15%. That means if we sell at 49 million silver, we're going to lose just under 8 million silver. So 41 million silver will be our final profit, or our gross. And then if you look at this, we had to pay 33 million, which means by buying this, I'm going to make 8 million silver. So that's the fairly basic calculations if you want to buy something for profit. But boss gear itself, you generally don't want to buy for profit. You want to buy... So let's see if we can find one. Probably not. No, we couldn't find one. Boss gear itself, it really depends on the item. So, for example, a Zarka, they go up fairly often. So I'll actually go over here. Let's look at Zarka Kriegsmessers, for example. A Zarka Kriegsmesser goes up fairly often. You can see that just in the top three, Tri, Duo, and Unupgraded, we've sold about 8,000 of them. 8,000 Kriegsmessers have been sold. And that's a fairly high number, especially because Zarkas exist for every class, and some classes can share Zarkas. So Zarka, you don't need to worry too much about buying a Zarka for high price. If you see your class is Zarka, unless it's a class that was just released, so like Lawn, and you really want the Zarka, I wouldn't really buy a Zarka for more than about 240 million silver. And even that's kind of pushing it. 200 million is probably where I'm comfortable buying a Zarka for class that I'm playing, because it means I don't have to snipe it, I don't have to go do the boss itself. But I don't really want to pay too much because Zarka is not hard to get. Dandelion, on the other hand, is much harder to get. So for Dark Knight, you can see only, I want to say it's just under 2,000 have been sold. 1,700. Pretty much exactly 2,000 dandelions have been sold. A quarter the number of dandelions as Zarkas. Dandelions are difficult to find. So if you see a dandelion for your class, buying it is a really good idea, especially if you're a highly played class. If you're a class such as Lawn, whose dandelion will come out with her awakening in a couple weeks, or a more popular class such as Sorceress, it's going to be very difficult for you to buy a dandelion, which means you're going to want to have to either bid against a significant portion of the server when sniping, put up a huge pre-order, or try your luck at the Night Vendor or Karanda herself. So if you see a dandelion, I'm actually willing to buy a dandelion for a class I really love for pretty much all the way up to 400 million silver, pretty much the max that the Night Vendor sells it for, as dandelions are so hard to get. Now there's only 4 other pieces of boss gear, and those are your headpiece, gloves, armor, and your boots. And there's 2 pieces for most of them. Red Nose, just ignore it. You don't need Red Nose armor. Dim Tree, I would spend quite a bit on Dim Tree. Dim Tree is generally considered the rarest piece. Uragons, most people will spend a lot on Uragons, but I don't want to buy Uragons for more than about 250 million. But most people will spend all the way up to max for Uragons, as Uragons is probably currently the hardest piece of boss armor to get, and also one of the most impactful pieces to get if you have it. So if you can get Uragons, you should probably buy Uragons. Muskins I wouldn't buy unless it was pretty much 90 million silver, just because Muskins go up all the time for Try and Tet, and they just sit there, as of this video. If you want Muskins, though, and you see it for a decent price, like below 200 million, I'd go for it. Beg's gloves, same as Muskins. In fact, Beg's gloves, I wouldn't go above about 150 million silver, as Beg's gloves are probably the easiest piece of boss gear to get. 17,000 have been registered just for unupgraded. They're super easy to find. You can get them all the time. Night Vendors probably offered me more Beg's gloves than any other piece of boss armor. And while it is one of the most important pieces, it's also one of the cheapest pieces of boss gear to pre-order at like less than 200 million silver. So Beg's gloves are pretty ignorable. Helmet, Giaths, I wouldn't spend more than about 150 million silver on. Griffin's helmet, I wouldn't spend more than 300 million on, and probably not more than 250, as Griffin's helmet is good, but it's nothing amazing. And unlike Uragon's or Dimtree, it's not as hard to get because you can try to farm Griffin's helmet by killing Griffins if you really want it. So, in the end, Night Vendor, everyone has their own price for Night Vendor. It's not like my prices are set in stone. It's not like 300 million silver is the absolute limit you should stick to for a Dandy or 200 million for a Zarka. But in the end, it's kind of based on the availability of the item, the demand for the item, and how difficult it is to obtain the item through other means. Dandelion, super hard to get, super unavailable, really high demand because we don't have the Dragon Slayer awakened weapons yet. So Dandelion, the price that you will spend on Dandelion will be super high. Uragon's, super high demand, very low supply, you'll spend a lot of money on it. Beg's gloves, very high demand, but also very high supply, so you don't need to spend anywhere near as much on Begs as you do on the others. Same with Zarka. In fact, Zarka probably has the highest supply to demand, because while everyone wants a Zarka, there's Zarkas for every class. There are, I want to say like 10 different main hand weapons. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yep. 10 different main hand weapons. That's 10 different Zarkas. And most classes have sold several thousand, with the exception of the Lawn, who came out 2 days ago. So in the end, it's all about what you're comfortable paying. Remember that Dandelion and Uragon's are probably the most valuable items you can see. Zarka is one of the best items to get, but you shouldn't overpay for it. Nuver and Kutum, that's... the reason I haven't touched on those is because that's more of a class-based decision. If your class uses Kutum and you see a Kutum for less than 300 million, go for it. If your class uses Nuver and you see a Nuver for like less than 300 million, feel free to go for it. I bought my Lawn's Nuver yesterday for 120 million because that's an amazing price, even if Lawn might prefer Kutum. So, Nuver and Kutum, it's a little more class-specific, unlike Zarka and Dandelion. So I don't really feel comfortable trying to tell you what price you should spend for your Nuver or Kutum. Anyways, guys, that's kind of how I personally choose to spend my money at the Night Vendor. Basically, spend money on what you need. An item is worth how much you're willing to pay for it in the end, and how much other players are worth pay for it technically. But if you can't find an item, then no matter how little you might have to pay for it normally, if you could find it, the price you're willing to pay for it, that you can pay for it, is the price that item's worth to you. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching this video. I hope that cleared up any questions about the Night Vendor. Subscribe if you liked it, and have a good one. I'm just going to register this ring. Nice. So we'll go a tiny bit lower than that, 48,998. And there we go. I'm going to make about 9 million silver profit just from buying that ring from the Night Vendor. Anyways, guys, once again, thanks for watching, and have a good one.